Hello everyone, my name is Melinda McLeod, and I'd like to introduce to you my innovation called the Steady Kayak Frame. My family and I like to go kayaking because it doesn't require a lot of physical fitness. Small kids can do it, elderly people can participate as well. The problem with small children and the elderly are that they're not as agile sometimes climbing in and out of the kayak, and the river's too high right now for me to actually have my kayak on the water, so I need you to try and visualize what's happening. When young children climb onto the side, the kayak tips in the water. It'll tip over and they fall in and they get scared. That's what's happened with my children over the years. And my father-in-law was actually climbing into a fishing kayak a year ago, and with one leg on the ground and one leg into the kayak, he slipped and fell and broke his hip. And he spent most of the summer recovering from surgery and didn't get to fish or do anything fun that he enjoyed. So how I got to the idea for this innovation was thinking about what could make it easier for a person who wasn't as agile to climb into the kayak without turning over, and maybe make it not as scary for new kayakers to be able to enjoy. So most of the time when you're climbing on a kayak, it's sitting in the water and it needs about, 16, 18 inches to float. So you want to climb on, and this is a youth kayak, so a little smaller than what we normally use. So you try to climb on and it's moving. That doesn't work because you're gonna fall. So my idea was to figure out a way to hold the kayak steady so that you can climb in without falling out, without the kayak tipping over. The problem with pushing on the side is that it turns over. So I wanted to come up with a way to have a frame to push on so that the kayak wouldn't tip. My first design, I considered a flotation device on each side, and I would mount the frame to that. But with that first prototype, I discovered that no foam board would support the weight of an adult. A child's weight would be supported and they could climb in, but an adult would not be supported. It tips with the kayak and actually cause more injury potentially than without. So in the water, the legs would be 3 feet long and they would have caps on the end so that water wouldn't get inside the tube and cause suction when you tried to remove it. So those are the actual legs. But for the point of my presentation, I got a little bit shorter frame so that you can see how it works. So you would stand in the water and place this frame over, and with an adult sized kayak it would line up a little better, but I'm using my materials to work here. So you'd climb over into the frame and you'd hold on to the rails to position yourself across. Now this is the part that you'd normally fall off because you're holding the kayak. You couldn't do that, it'd flip over. But with holding the frame, it will support your weight while you lower yourself on the kayak. So because there's no suction from the caps, I tried it without the caps, it did not work. The water pulls it under. You are able to lift this off and remove it. So some design modification I discovered are that you could take the legs and remove them, not so easily this time, but remove the legs and maybe set up a like a clamp to hold them and make a luggage rack that could ride along with you on your kayak. I don't know, I have to think about that a little bit more. So you're safely in your kayak. PVC is lightweight, and with the caps on the end it floats, which is better for water. It won't damage. There's another material that I would have liked to try that is an expandable aluminum, and so if I could do that with the legs, that would be ideal. It'd be adjustable and maybe even from side to side to fit the exact size of the kayak. But I was trying to keep this project affordable. So the expanded metal, when I priced it out, was gonna cost about $85, and that seems a little bit little steep for the purpose of this project. The PVC actually cost about $20. I didn't have the glue or the hacksaw, so I'd have bought two, but the materials were $20 roughly. I spent about 2 hours once I finally decided on this design to cut everything and glue it together and settle with this idea. So at the hardware store, the PVC comes in 10-foot sections, and I decided to, based on the size of an adult kayak, use 36-inch pieces. So I cut the three, I got 3 pieces out of each one, and the joints are elbow outs, and I use those. The caps were an additional feature. If you don't use the caps, it gets stuck in the water. When it's down in the water, you can't remove it. So it wouldn't be very helpful to get stuck. The like I said before, the time was only 2 hours, which is pretty quick to build them. I could make a few of them in an afternoon if I needed to. I considered painting it to make it look painting it with marine paint. There's a lot of different things that could happen there. In my original prototype, I'd drawn handles, like hanging handles, which may be beneficial to go back and add at some point. But I found that the fancier I tried to make it, the more it didn't work. When it was mounted to the boards, the foam boards, it just fell over and it wasn't very sturdy. This basic frame worked much better than my original drawing. It took about 3 tries to get to this, but this frame worked much better. I used a larger pipe, and it was hard to hold on to. The 2-inch pipe I thought would work a little bit better, but it was hard to get my hands around to pull myself up. And the smaller pipe, the 3/4 inch that I actually already had, would warp when I pushed on it. It wouldn't support holding a person while they were climbing in or out. So I think that the 1 inch is the better choice, and that's the route I decided to take. When I was researching how I could design this frame, I visited a couple of kayak rental places over in Augusta, and one of them actually asked me to bring it back when I was done. So I do think there's some interest in this item, in my innovation. I may paint it first and add the handles before I take it back over to him, especially because it's so affordable. It wouldn't have to be expensive. The man who was interested in the project suggested to have permanent mounts on the bottom, maybe at his shop. That's what he was thinking about using it for. But I wanted something more portable because we go to the river. We have a lake behind the house and a swimming pool too, although we don't usually kayak in the swimming pool. So I think the design, I would like to explore more with the removable legs and having the ledges to attach them to, so that it could travel with us on a long trip maybe, because getting in and out while you're on a long trip sometimes is hard. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and see the value of this innovation. Thank you.